Hi, this is Harold Ross with another post-production tutorial as it applies to images created with light painting. In this tutorial, I'd like to get into a little bit more advanced technique involving masking. But first, let's go ahead and add the image that we're going to use the masking on. I have this image of some peonies that I photographed using light painting. And I decided to place a background behind the peonies and photograph it in silhouette. So I was careful not to light the peonies and the vase, but just to light the background here. I like to do that so that we can change the blending mode of that background image to lighten, and then we can have complete independent control of that background image. So I'm going to change this back to normal because I'm going to introduce a little bit of a Gaussian blur to the background. But I like to blend the Gaussian blurred image with the non-blurred image. So I duplicated the background image. We're going to introduce a Gaussian blur to that background image. And I'm going to take it further than I'd like because I know I'm going to reduce the opacity of this blurred layer to blend with the layer beneath. Okay, so we'll just take the opacity slider and we'll dial it back. And I think I like it right about there. Okay, so how do I get these images to be in the lighten blending mode? I can't really place the blurred image in the lighten blending mode because then it kind of destroys the blending of the blur that I wanted. So we're going to leave it on normal, and we're simply going to place these two layers in a group. And we'll just name it BG for background. And we'll change the blending mode of the background to lighten. Okay, so here's where we get into our masking. So I'm going to add a mask to the group. And as usual, I'm going to fill that mask with black, which completely hides all of the information in the group. What I'd like to do is I'd like to introduce a diagonal streak of light across here. And so I'm going to grab my gradation tool, and I'll use the double gradation tool here, and I'll just pull down a little bit at the angle that I think is close and let go. Okay, that's pretty nice. Now here's where we get a little bit more advanced. You'll notice that the mask is locked to the group by a link, which is typical of any mask. So I'm going to first unlink the mask. Now I can actually transform or scale or rotate this mask at will. So if I do Command T, which is free transform, I can now rotate the mask. I'm going to go ahead and back out here. I can also enlarge it. And I can, of course, move it around. So it's a wonderful way to decide exactly what we want to reveal on our background. That's great right there. So I'll hit return. And I think I'd like to see it just a little bit softer. So I'm actually going to introduce a Gaussian blur to the mask itself. So instead of guessing around with the softness of your brush or trying to blend this streak, we can simply choose just the right Gaussian blur. That looks good. We'll hit OK. And then we can even reduce the opacity of that background just a little bit so that our peonies become the main focus of the image. So that's it. We learned how to unlink a mask from its layer or group, and we simply did a free transform, and we rotated and enlarged, and then we did a Gaussian blur on the mask. So a little bit more advanced technique. Thanks for watching. Until next time, this is Harold Ross.